Okay, today we're doing a review of basic functions. So on this graph, I asked you to consider what was happening in each part. In part A, did you say that the distance from home was increasing at an increasing rate? Raise your hand if you had that right. Good. Next part is B is constant. Now, what does this mean in context of the trip? What were you doing during that time? So you were stopped. Think about it. Your distance was not changing. If this is like 1 mile from home or whatever, that didn't change for like 10 minutes or however long this period of time was between here and here. Then at the end, were you going relatively fast or slow? It was a constant speed, but was it a constant fast speed or slow speed? Okay, how about this? Compared to the distance of time it took to get there, do you get that this is a shorter amount of time? It's a little shorter, so he's going relatively fast. It's not super fast. Super fast would be like straight up and down almost. Okay, so it's going fairly fast, and the distance from home is doing what? Decreasing. The distance from home is decreasing at a what kind of rate? A constant rate. Okay, good. So basically this is riding at a steady speed. This was going faster and faster and faster, and this was riding at a really steady speed all the way home. Okay, good enough on that. Next topic, evaluate simple functions when given an equation like f of 3. All right, let's look at some of those. That's like this kind. If you would fast forward through that other slide and get to this kind, that'd be good. F of 2, child's play. They've told me 2 is x. I just stick a 2 in there and figure it out. Do it in your head quick. 2 squared, and times it by that. Get it all down to a simple answer. Did you get 9? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, awesome. And that was because 2 squared gave me 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 8 was 8. Absolute value of 8 was still 8. Add 1 makes 9. Now, do you get then that the point 2 comma 9 is on my graph? All right. It's important to get that. If I said, for instance, that 3 or f of 3 was equal to 12, what point did I just say? 312. If I go the other way and say I have a point on the graph I see, and the point is 2 comma 9, then what could you say? F of 2 makes 9. Okay, it's important to be able to go back and forth between those two. All right, next we have h of 27 is being eaten by the f function. So you always start on the inside. And let's figure out h of 27. Well, h function's over here. H of 27, just stick the 27 in for the x. It told me x on that problem. So did you quickly go 27 minus 2 is 25, square root of 25 is 5, 5 minus 3 is 2. Am I done? No. I just figured out h of 27. That's what 2 is. Now, what's my problem? F of 2. Now I go and take 2 and stick it into the f function, which is back over here. And 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. Absolute value of 8 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. There we go. Final answer to that one was 9. Raise your hand if you had that before I did. Okay, awesome. The next one is different because they have not told us x. In this problem, they didn't tell us x. X is still x. But they did tell us that h of x was equal to 1. If they didn't tell us x, then effectively they told us what y is. Y is like h of x. You can tell which function to use. There's no f of x in this whole problem, is there? So I'm scribbling this one out to focus in on this one. And h of x is 1. That means this right here is 1. So it's 1 equals square root of x minus 2 minus 3. To solve that, first thing I do is add 3 to both sides. I'll have 4 equals square root of x minus 2. How do you get rid of a square root? Square it. 4 squared is 16. And then the very last step, add 2, 18. Did anybody have 18 for an answer? Awesome. That was a tough one. Okay, this next one. 2h of 14, again, I think that's an easy one because if all you have to do is figure out h of 14 and then double it, piece of cake. So figure out h of 14. Some of you are going to freak out because it happens to have a square root in the answer. It's okay. I know you don't know the square root of 12. So h of 14, stick a 14 there. 14 minus 2 is 12. Square root of 12 minus 3. I don't expect you to know the square root of 12. The only thing I could expect you to be able to do is go root 4 and root 3. And that's 2 root 3. That I could expect you to do. And if you hadn't done that, you might lose half a point for not reducing it. Okay, that's what h of 14 is. Now, you got to double it. You see why? This is one of those top 20 skills. See why I want you to be good at those top 20s? Because there's another example where if you don't know that little thing, it's going to hurt you on the test. The top 20s help fix those little things. All right, h of 14 came out to 2 root 3 minus 2. And now we're supposed to do a 2 in front of that. There we go. So 2 times 2 root 3 minus 2. I distribute this because there's a minus sign in there. There's a minus right there. And so 2 times 2 root 3 is 4 root 3. And 2 times minus 2 makes minus 4. There's your answer. And some kids like to factor it back out again to leave it in factored form. I can live with that. If you do that, you'd factor a 4 out, and you'd have root 3 minus 1. I would be okay with you factoring that. Yes?
It's going to be minus 6 because it's 14 minus 2 would be 12.
Okay, hold on. So let me see, where are you disputing this 2 that came from here?
No.
Okay.
You start off with minus 3, but then, yeah, negative 3.
Oh, and I changed it to a 2 right there, didn't I? That was just me miscopying it. You are correct. That's a minus 3, that's a minus 3, that's a minus 3. And then 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. Sorry about that. Yep. And then a 2, or a, yeah, 2 can come out of both of them. Sorry, I just miscopied this 3 right there. And I made a 3 into a 2 by accident. Okay, 2 comes out. 2 root 3 minus 3. I'd accept this or this as good answers for that one. Those are getting tough. All right, now the last kind we need to talk about is charts and tables. And I'm trying to rush because we need to get to that Pep Fest. And if they call you down before I'm done, what I'm going to do is have freshmen go. And for the next 5 minutes while we're waiting for sophomores to be dismissed, I'll do more. And you can go watch the video if you want to. Your homework, in case you get dismissed here soon, is don't put your iPad away till you hear the call. But your homework is to do the entire thing. I usually cut it down. I shouldn't this time because this is a test. This is your first test that actually counts for real in the 85% category. It's on Monday. Your homework is to do a practice test. It'll be a perfect thing to do to prepare. All right. So now, this kind, if I do g of 2, that just means they told me x is 2. I follow this over to x is 2, which is right there, and then I go vertically. This is the line x equals 2, and until it touches here. Oh, there it is. Pausing. Okay, so we're finishing up this one. We just stuck in x is 2, and if we have x is 2, then the y for this comes over here, and it's negative 2. So therefore, it's negative 2. Now, a way you can check yourself is to say to yourself, okay, this means that 2 comma negative 2 is a point. Double check the graph and see if 2 comma negative 2 is actually a point on the graph. And it is. It's right there. So, yep, you're doing it right. Okay, next one. G of negative 7, and then I'll take the opposite of it. But first, I'm going to find G of negative 7. Did they tell me x or did they tell me y? They told me x. X is negative 7. So I go over here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there. That's x of, or g of negative 7. And the answer is 0. The y right there is 0. So this spot is 0. Negative 0, of course, gives you 0. Okay, next one. G of 2. Start on the inside. It's just g of 2. We just did that one a second ago. G of 2 was right here. Followed it down. It was negative 2. So that's a negative 2. Am I done? No, I go g of negative 2 now. G of negative 2 is where you're sticking in negative 2 into the equation, or going right there. And that's the line, -2. X equals -2. And where does it touch? Right there. And what's the y right there? 4. So the answer is 4. Okay, on this next one, g of 4 minus g of -5. All you got to do is find g of 4. G of 4 is right there, which is 1. And g of -5, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is right there. And that looks like it's about 2. And then it's 1 minus 2. So you figure them out separately. It's sort of like these are little parentheses. You figure this out, and you figure this out, and now the last thing I do is go 1 minus the 2, which makes -1. This next kind is one of the tougher ones. G of x equals 4. It's not super hard. It's just that they didn't tell you x. They told you g of x, which is kind of like telling you y. So they're telling me y is 4. If y is 4, I'm going to follow that up to here, and y equals 4 is a line that runs like this, so you can see that must be the important spot. And what do I need to know? I already knew the y. I need to know the x. The x is -2. Now, if this is really true, that a -2 could go right there, do you get that the point -2 comma 4 would go with this? And this is how you can tell if you're doing it right. -2 comma 4 actually is on the graph, so there we go. X must be -2. It was asking for x. This one also wants to know x, which implies that they're not telling you x. They're telling you y. I'm telling you y is -2. All right, so if y is -2, I'm going to go to y is -2 right there. Follow it across. Boom, that's the spot. And that means I want to know x. X is +2. What did I just figure out? I just figured out that g of 2 is -2. This is important. Do you get, I don't even need to know this yet. I knew that the y was -2, and I figured out what x would work with that. I can double check it and see if the point 2 comma -2 is on my graph. So I'm going to go here and go, is 2 comma -2 on my graph? There it is. So I know I'm doing it right. And if this is the same as this, and this is the same as this, and this is the same as this, obviously, x plus 2 must be the same as 2. X plus 2 must be the same as 2. And now I can subtract 2 from both sides, and I have x equals 0. That's the toughest kind when it comes to graphs. Now let me show you one of the ones with charts. You're going to be called down in just a second, but all right. You guys can watch this last piece at home if you want. Okay, so I wanted to show one last kind that's going to be found on the assignment, and it involves these tables. So assume for a moment that you needed to do a function based on the table, and they said f of 2 and then subtract 1. I hope you get that the first thing you'd want is f of 2. Where's the f function? It's right here. And when they put a 2 right there, I hope you get that that means that x is 2. So I'm going to go where x is 2. This is where x is 2. So I'm going to cross-reference that across there, and I get the answer of 1. This right here, f of 2 is equal to 1. So 1 minus 1 equals, I brought this down here, equals 0. Next one, f of m of 0. Whenever you have a composite function like that, you want to start on the inside, m of 0. Here's the m function. M of 0 means x, that's where the x should go. X is 0, so that's like this. And that, where do they overlap? -1. Is the whole answer -1 over here? No, it's not. I just figured out m of 0. M of 0 came out to -1. So now it's f of -1 equals, I don't know what. So that's a new problem. I got to figure out f of -1. All right, f of -1 for x is like this, and it comes out to 0. Okay, you can see these, you have to do these step by step. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 steps. On this next one, and the last one I'm going to do for practice for you, your assignment is to do the entire worksheet and check it, because the test is coming on Monday. This one right here is where I start. M of x What is m of x? Well, I can't do anything with that. So if I can't, like, how can I put in every number? I can't really do that. So I'm going to ask myself, did they tell me x or did they tell me y? They told me that the y was -3. M of something, we don't know what, that's why it's kind of like a variable in there. M of something is -3. So here's the m function, and they did not tell me x, so I don't go look over here. I'm looking for m of something that is -3. The y value, or the, like, kind of like f of x, you know, is -3. So that's here. So that leads me over to this x value, and I know that it must be -1. Now you'll be able to tell if you're doing this right if you can go like this. M of -1 is equal to 3. Is that a point that is on my graph? M of -1. Well, here's the m function. Here's of -1, and it equals -3. Yay. So am I done? Nope. I still have the mystery thing that I have blotted out to keep it from distracting me. And so now I can say that if this is the same as this, and this is the same as this, and this is the same as this, then m of x must be equal to -1. Still not done yet, but I've got a very important statement. M of x is -1. Once again, they did not tell me x. So I have to go find the m function. And m of x has to equal -1. Well, here's m of x. And did they tell me x? No, they didn't tell me x. They told me the y, or the m of x, is -1. That's here. So that leads me over to an x value of 0. And if I want to be sure I'm right, I'd say this. M of 0 is equal to -1. See how m of 0 would be -1? And then this is the same as this, this is the same as this, and this is the same as this. So x must be equal to 0. All right, that's all the practice problems I have for you. Have a great day and good luck on the test on Monday.